questions wishing to address the board pertaining to agenda items only? Seeing none, we're going to move right on to finance.
Give the report for A and B. The timeline and then you want it, whichever way you want it.
The timeline of the budget is similar. We've already started that process. You've already approved the resolution not to raise taxes above the index. We did that at the December meeting. That was December 7th. Between now and April, we'll have budget meetings, discussions, and then we'll come back in April to do the Finance Committee meeting to review the budget. The preliminary budget presentation will be at the regular meeting in April, because we've got to approve the budget, the preliminary budget on May 7th at the work session. Because you have to have 30 days between the two meetings, and we couldn't have it at the work session in May because the regular meeting is less than 30 days from then. So we'll approve the final budget on June 11th, and we'll go from there. So it's a work in progress. We're just gathering preliminary information right now. It's all pretty standard. The only thing that the question mark is the contract, teacher's contract. We don't know that number yet, but everything else, the bond payment's all set. Everything else is all set. So we just got to put it together.
Is that a special meeting on the 11th? That's the second Tuesday.
Oh, is it second? Oh.
18th.
Is it? I'm sorry.
It would be the 18th.
Okay, what is it?
Yeah, it should be the 18th.
Yeah, I'm sorry. All right, the 18th. Final approval. June 18th. Yeah.
Not the 11th, the 18th.
I didn't know if we changed meetings because of graduation.
No, graduation actually is May 30th. It's early this year.
This will be on June 18th. The 22-23, I don't have the final audit in hand yet. I should have that by the next meeting, so we'll work in. But it appears that we have about $2.1 million transferred to capital reserve, excess funds. But that will be finalized by the next meeting. I'll get you the information.
Moving on to personnel, Mr. Palmer.
The first one is for next meeting is to approve the following professional staff salary adjustments based on credit attainment as listed there. The next 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess we're voting on 5, 6, we're voting on the 9th. 5.A, I move that we approve the following employment. Derek Stair as a learning support K-3 teacher at Penn Burnell Elementary, a salary of $84,200, step 14M plus 30, effective 2/1/24.
Next second.
I don't know that it matters. It was 5B. Any other comments? I don't know about that. Roll call.
Hendrick.
Yes.
Beitler.
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Hester.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
5C, I move that we approve the salary adjustment of Megan Bucks from step 9M at $68,769 to step 8M at $66,409, effective 1/11/24.
Next second.
Any comments?
Just to kind of explain the situation. So there is a clause in the contract that states that if you do not work 90 days, you are held on step the following year. So we had discussed with her, Pine Grove was originally holding her 90 days, so she would not have worked the 90 days. So we had talked to her that we would honor, originally we were offering step 8 instead, because she would have been held basically 2 school years on the same step. We moved her to step 9, knowing that she would then be held the following year as well. Spoke to the Pine Grove superintendent, they reassured me that they would be holding her the full 60 days. And then 2 weeks ago, we find out that they're not holding her the full 60 days, and she actually will work 90 days. So we spoke to Megan and said there's a couple options where we would delay the start or offer a couple other things, and the end solution was that we would go with the original master's step 8, and then she would advance to step 9 next year, as she normally would.
Any other comments? Roll call?
Feiler.
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Bats.
Yes.
Kaufman.
No.
Kester.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Petrick.
Yes.
5D, I move they approve the following mentor as listed there.
Heck second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Bats.
No.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Kester.
Yes.
Palmer.
No.
Fox.
No.
Petrick.
Yes.
Feiler.
No.
5-4.
5E, I move that we approve supplemental contracts for the following spring coach positions for the 23-24 sports season as listed.
Heck second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Heck.
Yes.
Bats.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Kester. Yes. Palmer.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Petrick.
Yes.
Feiler.
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
5F, I move that we approve the following substitute classified staff, event staff as listed.
Heck second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Bats.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Kester.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Yes.
Petrick. Feiler.
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
5G, I move that we approve the following volunteers for the remainder of the 23-24 school year as listed there.
Heck second.
Any comments? Roll call?
Kaufman.
Yes.
Kester.
Yes.
Palmer.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Petrick.
Yes.
Feiler.
Yes.
Rissmiller.
Yes.
Heck.
Yes.
Bats.
Yes. Moving on to policy, Mr. Heck.
So we have give reading with the intent to give second reading and final approval on February 20th, 2024 for the following policies, I'm going to say as listed from 9:01 to 9:18.
Moving on to number 9, items for board action. Mrs. Rissmiller.
So these would be for the next
Yes.
meeting, right? So 9A would be approve the listed appointments for the board committees for 2024. B would be to approve the listed board representatives for 2024. And 9C would be to approve the recommendation to use the law firm of Kozak Stout as the school district solicitor for 2024.
And if any of you have any input as far as a committee you would like to be on, that you're not on, or want to be more involved in something, reach out to me, reach out to Andy. Mr. Heck and I had a conversation that it's time for some of the newer board members to kind of start getting involved in some of that. They're getting up to speed on things, so think about that. The different committees that we have would be buildings and grounds, negotiations, policy, finance, personnel, curriculum, and extracurricular. And I think, Mimi, did you send out a list to everybody?
I did not.
Okay, can
I
you?
can do that. Smart
Just
Story.
that way you see what committees you're on, if you want to be on something else. Generally, we keep the committees to 3, but if there's somebody that has a strong interest or willpower to be on something, we can have 4 to a committee or whatever we need to do. But just try and spread some of that weight out a little bit if we could. Great, moving on.
I had talked to Andy a little earlier about the stipends or the hourly rate for Mr. Bowman, and I thought it was a little bit much of an increase, that if we could negotiate with him, or that was time dominant for your contract.
we did give him a call this afternoon, but he was not available, so I'll follow up with him. Until I get hold of him.
Are those rates individualized for like, you know, he represents some other school districts as well? Or is that just the rate?
That he individualizes it.
Okay.
So I can find out if that's, I don't know. I know we get a significant discount from what he charges, like if you're a private person. But I don't know, like if, like the rate he charges us, is that what he charges all of them? I can find out as well. One of the questions that Bill had asked is that sometimes like he brings, his son sometimes comes with, or Attorney Adams comes with. Do we get billed then 3 times? And we do not. And all of our bills are individualized as far as who performs what work. And more the associates that are both Attorney Adams and his son, Brian J., they have an interest in going into municipal educational law. So a lot of they've also been handling some of the business instead of Brian always handling it. So we do get charged then at that point, it's the associate's rate.
What I saw, the paralegal rate seemed a little high.
Yeah, and then Bill had asked about that. And I'll go back and check. I can't recall when, that it's that often that we get charged a paralegal rate, but I will double check that.
Moving on to administrative reports, we're going to just go around the room there as you said. Mr. Hamrick started off.
Hey everyone, this year we've been really focused on trying to highlight staff, students who exemplify our mission statement, expect, believe, and achieve. And we caught one the other day that we were very impressed with. I'd like to highlight Mrs. Amy Garber. We walked into her room and her students were in there soldering copper pipes, but she challenged them. She expected great things. She had them make unique, different shapes, but it had to be waterproof. Water had to go from one end to the other, and she was checking, making sure it was all sealed up tight. The students were having fun with it. They were having a blast and didn't even realize that they were actually learning how to solder. So very impressive. Awesome job by Mrs. Garber. Pride points wise, our teacher of the month is Miss Hannah Wolf. She teaches our life skills. She was the one who won the teacher of the month for Pride points. And students, it was a tie between 2 phenomenal students, between Kaylin Herring and Seth Palm Brittle. The last I'd like to do is a well-deserved shout out to Ann Baldaser, who helped organize and getting gifts for our families in the community this holiday season. She went above and beyond. We delivered the presents right to the front door, and we got emails as early as 1 o'clock in the morning, Christmas Day, how grateful our families were for making it a special time for our families in our community. So big shout out to Ann Baldaser. Thank you.
Good evening. I just wanted to add that at the high school we applied for a grant and we're receiving it from the Berks County Community Foundation in the amount of $430. And that's for our attendance incentive. We'll use that money to purchase alarm clocks and also provide incentives for our students with the Pride points. We're also going to be purchasing some other things for them. And also our winter formal will be held at the high school on January 27th.
Good evening again. A couple things to report from the middle school. I know Mr. Lehman was here earlier on behalf of Student Council. I just wanted to bring to your attention that for Thanksgiving they gained enough cans, money, and turkeys to support 12 families during that holiday, and then had enough left over to support 10 additional families for Christmas as well. So Student Council, all the representatives, and really all the students and staff of the middle school came together to support all those families, and it was awesome, which then Ms. Ballfaser helped handle that stuff out. Student Council is having their next event on January 11th. They're going to take a break from the dances for a minute and go ice skating. The 8th grade class is going to the PA Farm Show, weather pending, next week, and apparently you might get snow on the snow day as well. So we'll see. fingers crossed that we actually get there next week. And then last but not least, as far as Pride Points go, Jarek Weiss for 7th grade and JJ Morgan for 8th grade both earned the largest amount of Pride Points for the month of December, with Miss Emily Dietrich as the staff member for Pride Points of the month as well. Thank you.
Hello. Everyone is back from what seemed like a very restful break for everyone. I wanted to shout out a few of our staff members right before break. There are our musical staff members. Our music teacher, Diana Herbine, who you saw earlier on the clarinet. Our librarian, Lucy Baxter, on the tuba. 1st grade teacher, Kara Kramer, on the saxophone. And 6th grade teacher, Brian Luckenbill, on the piano. The 4 of them joined together, and their words, they brought the band back together. And they performed outside the cafeteria as students were getting breakfast the half day before break. It was awesome. Some of our students were just like so captivated. It was the most still I've seen them sit for a while. So that was really, really fun to see and hear. I also wanted to talk about our Penn Burnville Student Leadership Team. This year I put out feelers to 6th grade to see if students would be interested. I had 7 students apply and they were selected for our new student leadership team. So we have been meeting bi-weekly since November. We developed goals for the year, and some of the things that they've already done are they created a Tulpe expectation review for all the classrooms at PB after Thanksgiving break. They helped our K-3 students shop at our Santa's workshop, and they're still brainstorming more ideas. They made a presentation on Google Classroom today to share with 6th grade parents, so I'm really excited about that. And they shared a number of even more ideas on how they can make PB better than it is.
So first, I'd just like to highlight that the staff chose to highlight 2 music teachers at the elementary schools to be recognized tonight, which I thought was really, really neat and kind of unexpected. I think Diane and Matt, they did a wonderful job putting on the holiday concert. It's always packed, and they always seem to do such a nice job with only a few rehearsals with both schools actually coming together to perform some of those songs. So I thought that was really cool. Some things that happened over the holiday: on Saturday, December 9th, Sheets for Kids along with the Salvation Army host an event from Bethel Elementary School on a Saturday where we invite families in to distribute gifts. Sheets does a nice job giving them some gift cards as well, some drinks and cookies for the kids that attend, so it's always a really nice event. And always Santa's workshop at Bethel Elementary. I wanted to thank everybody that donated their time either to help little ones actually pick things out for other people other than themselves, or man the cash register and get those kids really excited about the holidays coming up. There was a lot of different people in the building helping out, and just greatly appreciate it, so thank you.
Evening. So far, we've had 2 special ed steering committee meetings that have been big successes. First, we've had almost 20 members, or we have 20 members now on our committee, which is the largest committee I've been able to see looking back at Tulpehocken special ed plan, and in our own history, let alone with our fellow county schools. So, which is almost all voluntary. It's composed of administrators, teachers, and parents, guardians. So to see that willingness to jump in and be involved in this has been really exciting. We're really focused on what professional learning opportunities we can provide for our staff, our parents, and what opportunities we can create to host events out in the community that have staff alongside families to learn about, special education policies, resources, programs, things that are really going to be beneficial to their student. Kind of a big win tonight. We had a parent join us. She was very involved, very happy. She had to leave a few minutes early, so as I was kind of just walking out, telling her what her next meeting was, she asked if it was okay. She shared it with a few other parents, and I said, yes, absolutely. And she goes, yeah, this was actually really neat. I got to be involved. So just that was something that I really was proud of, and something I'm happy that our department are doing.
Hello, Happy New Year to everybody. One of the focuses that I've been working on this school year is just helping with behavioral supports for all our classrooms within our general education, special education, anywhere I could really be helpful with that. Recently, I've done 2 FBAs on some kids who have been showing some significant behaviors, and pushing into classrooms and kind of just working hands-on with kids and with the teachers to model different strategies that can be used in the classroom to help with that behavior management. And I've also really enjoyed the beginning process of working with Dr. Hork and the MTSS team to start building a multi-tiered system for behavior supports.
So I have updates on the math and literacy work that we've been doing. First, for math, as part of our plan, we're currently weighing 2 resources for the 24 school year, the Stepping Stones from Origo and Illustrative Math. Members of the committee have been able to visit Conestoga Valley. We were there at elementary school to see Stepping Stones, and we were able to visit Wilson Southern Middle School, who's using Illustrative Math. And we have one more visit scheduled this month out to Big Spring, who are using Illustrative Math at the elementary level, just to kind of see some of these things in action in classrooms. Just before we left for break, the committee did come together one more time. We were originally considering Envisions as an initial program, since it's what we're already using, but in looking at kind of their offering compared to the other 2 and what our district vision is for math, we did come to a decision that we were not going to consider Envisions any further. So we're down to 2 at this point. On the literacy front, on December 14th, Drs. Shanley, Norris, and McIan visited each of our buildings, met with our staff, got to see some classrooms, some of the kids, some of the instruction happening literacy-wise, and then they also joined our administrative team meeting a week later to kind of debrief with us about what they saw and what we typically see on a day-to-day basis and how closely they reconciled with each other. And as they were leaving that day, they stopped me and said, this is, I think, the first time we've been in an administrative meeting with leaders across the district where our impressions exactly match their impressions. So we're seeing the same things. One of the major focuses of the literacy plan is that K-12 skill progression. So one of the first things that they're tackling outside of some of the professional learning piece is to get rolling on the comprehension piece as a building platform for that K-12 skill progression. So we're starting with comprehension as one of those unconstrained skills that crosses K-12. And then we'll use that to guide our own work as we approach the remaining pieces that are necessary and how we use CKLA and some of our tools. And then this one I've been sitting on for 2 months. So with how the meetings were switched up in November and then reorg in December, I haven't had a chance this year. So at each meeting, we take that time to give well-deserved recognition to staff and to students for everything that they're doing. But I do want to take a second to recognize the leadership team that we have. In October, Alvernia hosted an evening for educational leaders in Berks, Carbon, Lehigh, and Schuylkill counties. And as a recent PhD alum, they asked me to come and speak at the event. I was really grateful that they allowed me to do that, but they also allowed me to have Andy and Dennis come and speak with me there because I wanted to highlight some of the work that we've been doing here. So in about 20 minutes, we presented some of the vision-driven work that Andy's led. And at the conclusion of the event, we had a number of people come up to us to compliment us on what we're doing. And one person who introduced himself as a Wilson snob came up and said how impressed he was and what a great impression he received from Tulpehocken. And then after that, we got an email from a community member that read, "Hi, Dr. Netznick, I understand you recently gave a presentation that one of my colleagues attended earlier this week. We just talked, and he said, what an awesome presentation you and your team gave. His words, top notch. Just wanted to share that with you, and again, couldn't be prouder of my kids being alumni at Tulpe. Have a great day." So I just wanted to recognize the work that Andy and Dennis do in centering our mission of expect, believe, achieve, and setting that vision, and the work that the rest of the team does every single day, leading their staff in that pursuit.
I love following Tim.
Maybe you should put your back.
We'll put Tim over here. All right. One thing I wanted to talk about with the cafeteria this year is some of the new menu items that we tried out. Both the items I'm going to talk about are Asian themes, which seems like kind of a trend with younger people right now. One thing we started in the middle school and the high school was an Asian chicken salad, and we actually were featured for the November Tray of the Month for the photo of the salad that I submitted. So it's basically just a bed of lettuce with some grilled chicken with an Asian dressing on it. It has the crispy chow mein noodles, some mandarin oranges, and shredded cheddar cheese, and we serve it with an Asian dressing. If you ever want to stop in for lunch, it's delicious. A friend of mine, when I posted on Facebook, said, "Oh, I saw that salad that you posted," and she's like, "I wanted to go see what restaurant it was from, so I could go get one." I was like, "Oh, thanks." Another Asian item that we've been menuing across all the grades is the Asian dumplings. We tried it out first at the middle school and high school, and I like to kind of tease my children who go to Blue Mountain. I said, "Guess what? My kids had today at Tulpehocken." And my third grader was just, really upset that she didn't get the Asian dumplings. So I said, "Okay, well, let's see how the, elementary age kids like this," because I thought it was a little bit too grown up for them. So we tried that out at the elementary school in December. We served it with a Fortune fruit cup, which was like a frozen fruit juice slushy cup, which counts as a fruit. But when they peeled back the label, it was like a fortune cookie. So we should have a little fortune on it. I wanted to give a shout out to Peggy Zerby at the high school, middle school, high school. She stepped up the week before Christmas break and took over leadership in the kitchen at the high school because the manager needed some time off, and it was completely seamless. It's a hard time of year to take something over and jump in. She did a great job, as did all the other ladies helping out at the high school. And then finally, I just wanted to mention in early December, I was invited to be a panelist on a PA Farm to School open house. It was like a webinar style open house through the Food Trust, which is out of Philadelphia. It was myself and two other panelists. I just talked about the farm to school and local purchasing that we did. There was another woman who was a farmer in Zion Grove, Pennsylvania. She talked about how she was reaching out to school districts and selling local items. And the third gentleman was from a child care center in Philadelphia, where they were actually doing a program in the Philadelphia area called a quarter back, where if they included local foods, they would get a quarter back for each meal that they served. During the open house, I learned about some of the upcoming incentives that Pennsylvania would like to offer school districts. And it's less of these grant opportunities that you have to apply for, and more of a, if you commit to serving local foods in every meal, we will give you an additional reimbursement or, amount of money for each item or each meal. So I guess a lot of other states are doing things like this, and Pennsylvania is looking at the different programs and trying to gauge interest and, excitement. So hopefully we see something like that in the future.
Good evening, everyone. In terms of winter athletics, we are in full bore right now, midpoint of the high school seasons. All of our high school and middle school wrestling and basketball teams have matches and games this week, culminating in a doubleheader Saturday with the basketball teams. If anybody wants something to do, hopefully the snow holds off.
Who are they playing?
Peckway Valley, doubleheader against Peckway. So we have that going on. A lot of excitement on the mats this year. If you are not aware of it, our wrestling team is really, really good. We returned all of our starters from last season. We will also do that again next year, as the majority of our starters are sophomores and juniors. So they won 2 out of their 3 individual tournaments so far this year. This week's important league starts up tomorrow against Hamburg, followed by Kutztown on Thursday. There's also a lot of excitement on the female end of the mat as well. We have one high school female wrestler. She is currently 7-0. She's wrestled in 2 tournaments. She's won both of them. 7-0, 7 pins as well. So Catalina Borelli, I can't wait to see what she does in the postseason as well for us. Moving on, I actually want to give a shout out to the Tulpehocken Theater Company. They did a phenomenal Tinkerbell play this fall, and I'm really looking forward to Little Shop of Horrors this spring. March 8th and 9th is when our spring musical is going to take place. One of the coolest parts about being in these shoes now is I am like full-blooded jock. I have 0 performing arts ability in my body, and the fact that I get to be around all of our students in a different light has been an awesome experience for myself. So So seeing that same passion that I've seen all my life in athletes with our students that are on stage is really cool to see. So hopefully everybody can join the fun on March 8th and 9th. And last but not least, in about a week and a half, our mini-thon activities kick off. So we will be starting all of those student activities and fundraising for our mini-thon, which is March 2nd. Thank you.
Mr. Shirk?
Just a couple quick things. The Bethel gym has now been finished. The bleachers were installed 3 weeks. End of November. Yeah. I guess I should have said that last week. Sorry. Looks really nice. The gym floor looks really great. Baskets all done up, so it really turned out well. We are currently hopefully interviewing, not hopefully, we will be interviewing for about the custodian on Friday. We had 8 candidates now that we're reaching out to and interview those. I did want to thank Sherry for all her years of service. She's going to be going out in February on her birthday. It's going to be her last day of work, so she's out. But I wanted to thank her. I think she is 10 or 11 years. Sure. No. Cindy, I'm sorry, Cindy. I was talking to Sherry earlier. Cindy, sorry. And then last but not least, I wanted to thank Kyle and the maintenance crew. Paul has been out all last month. He had knee surgery. I also want to thank Paul himself. He was willing and able to take phone calls from us. He is our main HVAC guy, so anytime there's heating problems that couldn't solve, we tried not to reach out to him, but he was willing to help us through some things, so that was nice. Kyle picked up all the wastewater treatment and water testing, so I wanted to thank him for all his work last month. Paul is back now. He is more mobile than ever, and I've seen him in the last few years. He looks real good. So hopefully the surgery went well. Surgery did go real well. Hopefully we can get everything taken care of. Thank you.
So as far as your interviews coming up, is that more applicants than we have been seeing?
It's about on par, I'd say, for what we had last time.
Seems like pretty good numbers.
That's what I was thinking too,
So
yeah.
a lot are from Indeed, which we posted on Indeed and they just see the job posting and they tack it on. Like we had 2 already say today, oh, this is a school district, we're not interested, so 2 already went off with us.
Okay.
But,
Anybody local?
so the one tonight was actual former graduate, and then there was 2 other very local.
So it's looking good.
Hopefully.
Work.
Right before break, we had the opportunity to pull the community together for our first Portrait of a Trojan session. So we had a parent representative, teacher representative, and admin representative. And the purpose of that was to start looking through the data, which was challenging. So at the beginning of the year, if you remember, we sent surveys out, we engaged people in activities to identify habits of a Trojan that we want to kind of hang our hat on moving forward and create a portrait around. We engaged over 300 people, got about 1,000 responses in terms of habits, and then the work of this committee is to take that 1,000 and try to compartmentalize it, which was a difficult thing, but I think a very positive first step, and Jen was there. It was fun, it was engaging, but there's a lot of work to be done. So our plan is to meet monthly. Our initial timeline that we shared with you last year was around May, June. We look to bring a portrait before you that identifies what these habits are that the community sees that we want to instill and continue to grow in our learners, but also kind of define what that means as well. And then our goal is to make that part of everything that we do. So lessons will be tied around that just as much as they are state standards. So progress is being made. This is the first meeting right in December when we actually pulled people together to start looking at it. But I want to let you know that ball is continuing to roll because we haven't brought that one up for a while. In addition to that, I know Dr. Nessing shared in his notes about furniture, so we're going to meet and continue discussion about furniture for the middle senior high school. We have 2 organizations, 2 companies that we're working with that we shared a vision, let them kind of draft up what they viewed as a design based on our vision, and we have some work now to do as a team to kind of place them back and forth. We were hoping to get that information and kind of give you a glimpse of that today, but one of the organizations gave us their version of our vision at about 2 o'clock on the 23rd. So we didn't have time to really go through that quite yet. So our plan is to go through that this week and have something for the next meeting for you. And then to capitalize off of what Dr. Matlack had said, that math resource review has been a process since the beginning of the year, so we've narrowed it down to two. Our goal is to make a final decision this month so that we can come in February and share with you what our recommended resource is, why it's standing out as kind of being able to catapult us into how we see mathematics education going in the future, and then ultimately kind of our plan for implementation. Because if we're looking to move away from revisions, we want to make sure our teachers are supported and have professional learning opportunities so that when we actually implement this with our learners, it's successful. I will say the biggest difference between the two is the two programs we're looking at, the learners are doing a lot more than just sitting and listening and kind of following recipe steps to solving mathematics problems. So the reason why we're leaning towards the two that we saw, when we saw them in the classroom, in action at both Conestoga Valley and Wilson, there's a huge amount of students, discourse and students talking about math and problem solving, like applicable problems, and a lot less like, here's 50 of the same problem, you're just going to learn to solve them sequentially. It's more about application. But we'll share more with you as we kind of narrow that down and give you an idea of the why behind our goal for that decision. So,
A couple things on that. Are the teachers involved in that?
yeah, our math committee, we have representation K-12.
Are we able to pilot it at all or not?
So we looked into piloting. The trick with kind of running a pilot or running two different pilots is we have 3 programs all at once. So all last year we designed a vision for what we want to see mathematics instruction look like, and that's been what we're using as the measuring stick. So I'm pretty confident that what we land on is going to match what we want to see instructionally, and we're just going to hit the ground running.
Tim, what's the second one called? The first one was stepping stone.
Illustrative math.
Say that again.
Illustrative math. It's spelled illustrative.
Illustrative, okay. I was trying to pick that up.
Now the stepping stones is K to 6 opportunities. The illustrative math actually can run up to 10th grade. Not saying that we're looking that route, but they have a 6 to 8 model, and they also have an accelerated course that's built off of that. Both of these resources have an actual curriculum associated with them. Like it's actually in-depth curriculum that's designed for, deeper understanding and deeper learning.
And they align with what we're trying to do 7 through 12?
Yeah, actually if we looked at expanding 7 to 12, initially we're looking K-6. We don't have a program for 7 to 12. It could benefit us. It kind of brings some continuity if illustrative math was the decision. But either way, seeing these in action, it's definitely, and the principals have been with us, it's definitely more in line with what we'd like to see in the classroom than what we currently have.
Because it is more of, instead of filling out 50 problems, it's more problem solving.
Students doing problem solving. The one program, for instance, illustrative math has like an entry point. So there's an open-ended problem with 4 solutions. None of them are wrong. So it's an opportunity for every single student to try to tackle a real-life problem through their own lens, and their goal is to defend why they're solving or why they're picking a solution. And that's kind of the entry point into the conversation about the lesson for that day. So you're building opportunity for kids to have to think and not memorize sequential steps to solving math problems.
And so they're doing that particular problem, let's say, on their own, like in their seat, doing themselves,
There's
thinking
a lot.
it through?
There's a lot of design. A lot of design, independent work, collaborative work, group discussion, but it's not all.
It's not all group.
It's not all direct instruction. It's not all group. It's not all individual. It's a good mix of.
It's not all computerized.
Well, actually, the beauty is there's no computerized that's necessary, and there is some that could supplement. But our goal is they're both very tangible. So early on, they build off of the concrete representational abstract concept of K-2. It's a lot of manipulatives. It's a lot of hands-on stuff. Then it shifts to more pictures and graphs and representing numbers in different ways. And then as they get older, it's abstract problem solving because they've already built that capacity. So it's a neat learning progression as well. But it's less problems, more in-depth, and more involved so that I mean, I hear you guys talk about the math all the time, whether it's real world stuff. The world's not gonna throw you 3x minus 3 equals 4. So as soon as you move where x is, the kids can't be like, oh, you never taught me this. The goal is, again, get away from recipe step by step, get them more involved, and it's gonna align more to what the science standards are actually gonna be as well. So we'll definitely share the research behind it and kind of some sample lessons with you, but both resources we're down to are more geared to students understanding math, not just knowing and how to solve 50 of the same problem.
And I like that if they're doing some on their own, because I feel like teaching that it's always in groups of 3, 5, whatever, there's dynamics there that you can't change. You know, there's a leader, there's one that sits, there's one that lets, but if you're giving the student that question with 4 options and making them think about it, then they can talk about it. But on their own, thinking it through instead of groups. I mean, I'm not completely against groups, I just think a lot of bad can also come out of that.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, there's those kids that are always gonna hang back.
And each of those resources have a specific part of everyday lessons where it is independent work that's more geared towards the teacher than being able to collect formative data to know who got it and who didn't that day. But it is a good blend, and honestly, like hearing the kids in those classrooms talk about math was exciting, instead of just like being talked to about math. So flipping that script, I think, will be good for our kids.
I just want to give a shout out to Jill and her team. We nominated them for the PASBO, Pennsylvania Association of School Business Officials Award of Excellence for the state of Pennsylvania for food services. There's 7 categories that we had to provide documentation that we excel in: food safety, food service compliance, financial integrity, innovation, participation in farm to school programs, memberships and certifications, and increases in meal participation. So we hit all those categories. They're excelling in, and hopefully in February we'll find out if they won the award. So good job.
Does anybody have any old business to discuss? Should I ask about the playground? I feel like it's a new bus lot.
I was honestly going to say the same thing. It is something that we'll have to discuss in executive session. So.
Anything else on old business? New business, I know Mr. Palmer has an eager topic to discuss.
Just a little tidbit. Right before the break, a girlfriend invited me to Tulpe to the high school. I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but Miss Jocelyn Gross had like a coffee cafe at night, and apparently they've been doing this. I didn't know. So I went with my girlfriend whose daughter was going to be singing, and it was super cool. It was all, you know, dark, and they had coffee and they had treats and stuff, you know, you could buy, and very casual tables here and there. And I sat with my friend, and her daughter sang, you know, different times, and the kids were just so relaxed. I mean, it was right before break, everybody was like happy, but you know, singing and sitting around and encouraging each other. And I think I saw Mr. Lynch pop in and talk to a student and pop out and wave, and it was a good feel. And it was like, wow, you know, like just like thinking about math outside the box. This was music outside the box, but not really, because music has its own language. And it was just really great. And they ended with one of the male and female students saying, "Baby, it's cold outside." They did a fantastic job. It was so fun. And I just want to thank Mrs. Gross and whoever else made that night happen, because it was great.
Look, I hear we didn't ban that song at Tulpehocken.
No, it was not banned, and it was cold out that day.
Mr. Palmer.
Okay, as most of you know, the House passed that we could serve whole milk in the schools. It got tied up in the Senate Ag Committee by the chair of the Senate Ag Committee. And I would like to make a motion tonight that we send a letter to the chair of the Senate Ag Committee and to the 2 senators from Pennsylvania that we would want to serve whole milk in our schools because it's more nutritious and more healthy for our students. That's my motion.
Second that.
favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And the chair of the Senate Ag Committee is Debbie Stebino. So that's who we want the letter from Michigan.
Bill, can I call you tomorrow?
On new business, I'd just like to shout out the high school administrative team. There was some concern over grad projects, and unfortunately, my daughter was actually a little bit tied up in it. And I didn't know how to handle it. I almost felt like Mr. Hetrick when I got bombarded going to a basketball game by parents that were concerned about it. And I reached out to Dr. Nesnick on a Monday morning. And just so happened, I had to go to the school to pick up my son who was sick. And Chris is like, or Mr. Hemrick was like, hey, can I talk to you real quick? They already had it figured out, knew what the problem was, had a solution in place, and he didn't even know I talked to Dr. Nesnick about it. So great job being proactive instead of reactive. That was anybody had?
The other thing is we're starting negotiations tomorrow. We'll talk about that in executive.
So we will be having executive session for negotiations and legal matters. The calendar events is listed there. Kind of a quiet time of year, looks like. Looking for a motion, or wait. Would anyone like to address the board this evening? Mr. Manbeck, Mrs. Manbeck?
I guess I'm going to comment on one thing. If you probably didn't see unless you really followed after on that whole milk business that the farmers would like. It got held up basically by the dietary people. And that's why it got stopped, so they had none of that. The other that's been bothering me a while already was the math business. You know, we talk about, if you've seen the numbers that were published in the paper on our standardized test, and I'm not going to knock Tulpehocken, you know, I'm going to knock the whole county. You know, what are we teaching across the whole county that the majority of them can't, especially the high school, that can't meet the standards of what the state wants us to be teaching. So I'm looking at, so we go to another school and see what they're doing, but yet if we were trying to meet the standards of what the state wants us to do, where are we going with it? And the other part I always said, you know, along already being on the board, if we teach all the basics and the kids learn the basics well, they can do anything they want in life.
Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Next second.
All those in favor, consent by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries, meeting adjourned.